All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be a very light day today due to the fact that there's no One Piece chapter or One Piece anime to go through. And it'll probably be the same as far as the anime is concerned for next week because it's also going to be another light week next week because while the One Piece chapters will come back, I think, will be coming back next week, Sakamoto Days after today's chapter will be going on break. So, it's going to be a bit of a light Sunday today, and a bit of a light Sunday this upcoming week. But let's go ahead and get started with more Sakamoto Days today, shall we? Yo, peoples! Qushu92 here, and welcome back to more Sakamoto Days. In the last episode, well, we pretty much had a resolution to Kumanomi being taken down by Heisuke and Kamihate. Kamihate looking after Heisuke in order to make sure he gets medical attention, because mind you, Heisuke is still bleeding. But also cutting to the school where the JCC, the school where Natsuki, Mafuyu, Toramaru, and Kaji are, along with Amane, and they're looking at all of the chaos that's happening across all of Japan, including the fact that there are people protesting their rights to murder people and versus innocent civilians just watching all this madness go on. People are praising the name of X and they're just marching throughout Japan saying how much I follow Master X and all of this madness. So we're queuing in to the JCC where Natsuki and everyone else is there wondering about all this madness, and we get the Saionji twins, with one of the siblings we've already seen being the sister, who is trigger happy, especially with her machine gun. And she's there under orders to hunt down and kill anyone who is affiliated with Sakamoto, which just so happens to be all the people that I mentioned earlier at the JCC. So now we have to deal with the Saionji twins at the JCC as they're there to kill pretty much all the big names that helped Sakamoto out up until this point. Days 232, Worry wins. And we have the Saionji twins standing there. Mind you, we know enough about the sisters to know that she's a bit of a loose cannon, but we don't know enough. We don't know enough about the brother. And that concerns me, because we have no idea, because they're both considered twin geniuses of the Kansai Killing Academy. But we don't know anything about the brother, and that concerns me. But Days 232, Worry wins. And we have them being introduced as,
it's the Saionji twins of the Kyoto Kansai Killing Academy. Why are you at the JCC?
And this is Toramaru asking. And then the brother, whose name we still don't get, goes, well. And then Sheena, the sister, speaks up going,
we work for the new JAA. Our first assignment is to kill you all.
What? And then Natsuki is thinking, I knew it. And then the brother speaks up going, no, wait. Sheena, we gotta ask him first. We know you hacked and disabled the guns that were distributed through Japan's new system. That project was super expensive, you know? Our boss is pissed. So they know that Natsuki and people, they know that they turned it off. They know. Then Natsuki speaks up. So you came here to deal with us, right? Look, let's not rush to conclusions. There's one way around that. Tell us where Taro Sakamoto is, then we'll just leave the JCC alone. And then Natsuki's thinking, well, at least they don't know Sakamoto's headed to the JCC yet. And then Mafuyu speaks up going, hang on, why is that up to you jerks? Big bro, can we take out these punks now? And Mafuyu wants to throw hands already. So like, why are we doing this? Can we just kill them? Can we just take them out now? But then Sheena goes,
oh.
And in an instant, mind you, she's a distance away from Mafuyu. All of a sudden, the next panel we get is her embedding her foot into his face and cratering Mafuyu into a wall.
Don't underestimate Kansai. We'll destroy you losers.
Mafuyu.
She's fast.
And then the cameras zone in on them. The cameras zone in on them, and it gets announced throughout the school. Boop, boop. Suspicious activity detected on premises. Intruder suspected. All students return to your rooms in an orderly fashion. Teachers, eliminate the threat immediately. And mind you, this is a whole school where every teacher is an accomplished and well-equipped assassin. So you see teachers in the staff room getting their guns ready, getting their knives ready. Then the brother goes, "Oh, great, now we have to deal with this."
That was on purpose, bro.
There they are, intruders, kill them!
Quit hollering so loud.
And then, while she's saying this, her brother moves her head out of the way in order to avoid her getting shot in the head. "You dummy, watch out! Sloppy shooters are extra dangerous. Watch out!" And mind you, she starts getting upset that her brother's hand is on top of her head like this, holding it down. And then she just moves away from him. "Wait, Sheena!" And all we see is her machine gun barrel in the face of all of these teachers, and she just open fires. I don't think I have ever seen an instance in any form of media where a many-barreled machine gun is in front of a person's face, and we see it, and we just see the drum spin, and it just fires directly in front of their face. Not even something as, as gory as Rambo. Or, frankly, I've never seen it in a movie or anything where you see a machine gun in front of someone's face and then you just see their face just literally get torn to shreds. But that's what she does to a great number of staff, and she just open fires on all of these teachers. Those brats. You sure about
this, JCC? We're here from the new JAA. In other words, you mess with us.
And it shows one teacher running up on her with a knife. She grabs this teacher and throws him in the air.
In other words, you mess with us, you mess with the powers that be.
And while she's thrown this dude who's upside down back towards the wall, she's got her machine gun pointed at his face, blows his face off, and they just go straight through the wall of the JCC, and they wind up in the cafeteria. And then Amane is thinking, whoa. And then Todamaru,
she's tough. So this is Kyoto Kansai Killing Academy star student.
And then we get someone flying in, and it's Mafuyu, who tries to hit her with his shoe blades, but she blocks his leg with her gun. You're dead.
Bring it.
And then we get the brother. Oh, come on. Now we've got a big mess on our hands. What? You're not fighting? I mean, that wasn't the plan. I figured you'd just tell us where Sakamoto is. That's your little brother, right? We both got wild younger siblings, huh? It's weird, though. I get more worried than annoyed. And then Sheena grabs Mafuyu while they're fighting. She grabs them by the throat. She grabs Mafuyu by the throat and goes, "Ugh."
Sloppy work. You sure suck. The standards this low in Tokyo, huh? Let's wrap this up quickly. Buy some souvenirs and hit the road. What do you say, big bro?
And mind you, her brother, who still doesn't get a name yet, is standing there going, where'd that other guy just go? And then Natsuki speaks up. It's true. When you have a dumb younger sibling, it's a real pain. 'Cause Natsuki put on his and not even his invisibility suit, because I can still see the outline of his hair. It's no longer like a full body suit he has to cover up with. He's now made it so it could just extends over him with anything that he's wearing. But he's right between Sheena and her brother. It's true. When you have a dumb younger sibling, it's a real pain. And then all that happens is that Sheena gets knocked back. Sheena gets knocked back all of a sudden by the invisible Natsuki.
What was that? A ghost?
Sheena, behind you! And while she's flying, numerous members of the JCC staff immediately start to bind up Sheena in what appears to be fiber wires, like just very, very tough wires, like thick wires. You thought you could take on the JCC teachers? Dumb punks. Now you're gonna get a special lesson. See? Told you to watch out. And then the brother, see, this is the reason why the brother scared me. Then the brother just casually says, told you to watch out. And all we see is just someone moving at high speeds. And then the next thing that happens is over half a panel of this brother who beheads every single teacher that was binding her with his bare hands. It looks like it's his bare hands. He just ripped all of these dudes' heads off. All of them. He just killed all of these teachers. This is the reason why I said this guy intimidated me the most out of the sister. The sister was a loose cannon. She's easily predictable. That's just her mentality. But the brother was all like, no, I wish we could do this another way. That's a telltale sign that he's more dangerous than the sister. And he just proved it in this panel. He just ripped all these people's heads off. And all we see is just a bloody mess of bodies around the sister. And they're all dead. Every single teacher that tried to bind up Sheena is now laying dead because of this brother. And even Natsuki is all like, what?
Huh?
What just happened? This guy. Can you stand?
Yeah.
This guy is unreal. And it just shows the Sayonji twins standing there with the brother standing next to his sister. And that's the end of the chapter. The brother just showed that he's way more dangerous. Way more dangerous. Also, Halster and Zakaruga, it's good to see all of you. Hello, everyone. I was surprised about the break. It's rare for Sakamoto Days and Yuto Suzuki to go on break, but I welcome it. Hey, as long as they get their rest. Oda is currently going on break with One Piece right now because of his health, which is why it's so important for mangakas to properly get their rest. I know they have deadlines, but none of it matters if their health goes into decline just to make sure a chapter goes out. I would rather we go on many breaks if it means that Oda, and I say this all the time, you can already quote me on this, but I don't care how many breaks we get as long as the authors are fine. Not just specifically Oda, but every single mangaka from which I read a manga from. It is incredibly important for everyone to get their rest so that they can always deliver their best work. So, but yeah, it's actually been quite a while since Sakamoto Days has been on break, to be quite honest. Of course, it's the two younger siblings that are scrappy. Wow, she drew that machine gun real quick. Yeah, there's two options for like a multi-barreled machine gun. You have one that makes it so that the barrel spins, but that doesn't mean it necessarily starts shooting. Video games kind of ruin that whole thought process where they give you a machine gun with a barrel on it, like say Fallout 4 and the like, and it makes you think, oh, I just hold down the barrel and it revs up and then it starts automatically shooting. No, in real life, you have the option of spinning the barrel and then firing as well. So her spinning whatever mechanism she has, and it has to be a high-grade machine gun that you just can't get anywhere on the military market, because the fact that she was able to rev up that gun and blitz all of those teachers and gun them down in such a short amount of time, faster than these teachers, these trained professional assassins could even react to, means that it is an insanely strong and insanely efficient machine gun. She was away from them with nothing in hand, and in an instant, she's close to them, machine gun ready. Well, they couldn't even see him do it. Either Natsuki and everyone are shook. Sheena was fast, but they could see what she was doing. They couldn't even perceive him killing all those people. Not even the teachers. See, do you think Heisuke would have Conqueror's Haki? Not necessarily, but he would have observation. I would say if Heisuke lived in the world of One Piece, he would have observation Haki. And the fact that Usopp has yet to do anything with observation hockey ever since the events of Dressrosa is just crazy to me. But maybe in the future. I mean, he's going to need it if he's going to be fighting Van Olger, and I know he's going to be fighting Van Olger in the future. But Heisuke, I would say he's more so the observation type because it would actually help out with his sniping. Greater vision, greater sensing of people, so that way his shots can be a lot more accurate. And given the fact that Kamihate has acknowledged Heisuke's shooting skills of being on par with himself, then him being an observation hockey user would do wonders for his shooting capabilities, even more than it already is now. So if he was, then I would say more so observation hockey than conquerors. Far better advantage with that, especially for a sniper, a long range sniper. But who is the strongest of the JCC students? So if I had to put a list up, we have Mafuyu, we have Amane, we have Toramaru, we have Kaji, and we have Natsuki. If I want to go as far as potential, I want to say Amane. Because he comes from Mr. Yotsumura, who's an incredibly powerful former Order member. So I feel like that capability runs in his blood. And mind you, Natsuki is strong, but where his strength lies in his intellect and usage of all of his gadgets and everything. Mafuyu is an incredibly capable fighter as well. He's very, very strong. However, kind of marred by his need of wanting to be clean all the time. It can be a little bit of a distraction for him. For Kaji, he's an incredibly capable individual as well, but his is more tuned towards being able to hear a person and everything. And if something were to happen to his ears, as it happened before, then his capabilities and his specialty would kind of be, a little bit lessened by that. Toramaru, she's just strong outright. If I'm thinking correctly, back to when we went to the JCC exam arc, I honestly want to say that Toramaru might be either the strongest or second strongest. If Amane isn't the first, then Toramaru would be. Because she was an absolute menace during the JCC exam arc when she was fighting everybody. So Toramaru, I honestly, you know what? I want to say Toramaru over Amane. That's who I want to say. I want to say Toramaru over Amane. Yeah. Yeah, that's my pick. Heisuke has the ability to get others on his side and a very strong will. Does not mean that you had that he deserves to have Conqueror's Haki though, because you can be charismatic and not have that. And we've seen a lot of people in One Piece who are charismatic but lack Conqueror's Haki, like Buggy, for example. People keep saying like, "Oh, he's got Conquerors as well." No, this dude is a person who fails upwards without any special abilities of his own. So Heisuke would still be better off with observation. But this whole chapter, I was waiting on the moment where they would show the brother whose name still isn't known, which is crazy, by the way. Hold on, I gotta look this up just to make sure I didn't overlook his name, but I am telling you that the Saionji twins, the only one whose name we got was Sheena. But I knew something was up with the brother due to how he was portrayed this whole time. This whole time he was portrayed as like, "Oh, let's be diplomatic about this." Yeah, it says her brother, but her brother is in red, so we can't even tell what his name is. But I knew something was wrong. I knew something was off about him due to how calm he reacted. How I wouldn't even say how opposite of his sister he behaved. Because with his sister, Sheena, we were capable of seeing all of her personality. She's a person that is trigger happy. She doesn't mind opening fire immediately in a crowd without even asking questions first. And she's like, well, okay, she's just a crazy girl who's very, very capable. She's very predictable in her mannerisms. However, the brother hasn't shown any physical capabilities until the end of this chapter, and so it made me wonder, he's probably the most dangerous of the two. And I said this last week. There's something about the brother that is rubbing me the wrong way. There's something about him that just screams, I feel more intimidated by the brother than the sister. And he showed it in this chapter, because as soon as Sheena got caught by all of those students, all those teachers, he came in and just ripped all of their heads off before anyone could react at all. He killed every teacher that was binding her. And mind you, no name shown. No! He still ain't got a name. I brought that up many times already. But let's see here. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the people that were killed by her brother was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's actually, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He killed every single one of them. We don't see anything in his hands. We just see the aftermath of him stepping past all of these teachers and all of their heads flying off, and they're still bleeding heads just bleeding all over the floor around Sheena. So out of every single one, out of both of these twins, I told you this brother was the problem. He's the problem. And he's just standing there looking like, I mean, it is what it is. He's just looking up. He's looking at the reader like his head down, and the entire time he's had this expression of like uncertainty. It's like I won't even call it's not even nonchalance. It's maybe more like the type of face you give if you're like unsure if you really want things to get turned up a notch. He has this passive look. That's a good one. A passive look to his face, which makes him all the more dangerous. Because in all these crazy people, specifically his sister, she enjoys gunning people down. She has this face of just malice and manic on her. And she's smiling while she's doing all of this stuff. But the brother's all like, hey, at least we can just ask all these questions first. Like, if you tell us where Taro Sakamoto is, we'll leave everyone at the JCC alone. But the sister's all like, let's just kill everyone and start piling. Let's kill everyone and start piling up bodies. The more bodies, the better. That was her first response. But the brother was all like, saving her, saying like, you gotta watch out. These sloppy shooters are the dangerous ones you gotta worry about. And mind you, she's bothered by the fact that her brother is, looking, I won't even say looking out for her, but she's bothered by the fact that he's, getting all touchy-feeling and caring for her and everything, and she's trying to get away from him. It's all like, don't touch me, and stuff like that. Mind you, she doesn't outwardly say this, but she doesn't like the feeling of her brother, feeling like she needs to be protected by her brother. I can just tell that from the very body language. But the brother is the more dangerous of the two. One uses a gun. You can dodge bullets in this series, but one that uses just his bare hands in order to get the job done, that's the one you gotta fear, because he blitzed people. You don't see him move until after he's already done it. The brother's the problem. We don't even know the names of the cop and the wrestler either, and those members have been dealt with. Yeah, ain't that crazy? I don't think Uzuki gives people names. He's not God. He's just got a fake copy of a godly assassin in Takamura. So here's my thing. I consider it funny that we don't know the names of these people who were supposed to be joining the JAA. See, I'm looking at it and it says nothing. It just has former order members and the people who are a part of the order right now, but we don't get the names of any of them. Yeah, I'm like looking at the webpage and we don't get their names at all. Nah, we don't get anything. So I find it hilarious how. Hold on, let me see. If I go back to the previous chapter, let's see. Unnamed police assassin, unnamed woman, unnamed baby. Sheena, out of all the people who have been introduced, Sheena is the only name that we got from these new prospects that Oki was hunting down. Was saying. Let's see, unnamed mask guy. So out of all the new prospects, we have unnamed Sheena's brother, unnamed mask guy, mas demasculine, unnamed police assassin, unnamed woman with a baby, and then just Sheena. Sheena, just one. And we've had these, if I'm looking at this correctly, the first time we saw them was back in July. The first time we were witness to these new people from Oki was back in July. July 28th, to be exact. And to this day, in October, we still don't have their names. So that I consider a little bit hilarious how they're just nameless assassins, save for Sheena. And the funny thing is, we get their family name, the Sayonji. Sayonji Sheena. The Sayonji twins, but we don't get the brother's name, we don't get the crazy lady with the butcher knife, and we don't get the cop assassin who's already been dealt with. I find it hilarious. I don't consider it bad writing just because we don't have their names. But I just find it hilarious that they're frankly, I want to say so nameless that the cop assassin didn't even need a name because he's already been dealt with. So why bother learning his name now? And the same goes for Master Masculine along with Kumanomi. You think Boyle's gonna fight Tanabata and Kendaka's gonna fight Torres? We don't know. Obviously, Shishiba's gonna fight Gozu. Well, Shishiba does have a vendetta because Gozu was the one who both electrocuted him and Miss Osaragi. I will say if the baby gets named and the mother doesn't, I will laugh. I will too. If the baby has a name but the mother doesn't and we don't get no other names of any of these prospects for the order for the rest of the series, I am going to laugh. Because out of everything we've witnessed in this entire series, not getting the names of these people, I want to say is kind of on the lower end of the ladder in terms of ridiculous. Along with, there's a rare phenomenon when atoms don't touch each other, which allowed Shin to survive getting his head sliced off, and allowed the blade of Uzuki, who was literally under the personality of the most powerful assassin alive, and he survived that. That's ridiculous. And then we have Atari getting, and I will keep coming back to this because this is peak ridiculous. Atari taking a bag of trash and then pulling it through. Mihai, good to see you. Just stopping by. Hope you all had a wonderful day. Oh yes, had a wonderful church service, and now I'm back here. The boys have been taken care of, and once I'm done with Sakamoto days, I get to relax the rest of the day because there's no One Piece episode to react to. So I have plenty of time to chill. Maybe work on some stuff for tomorrow and Tuesday as well. But I get plenty of time to chill. Though if it does happen to remind me of that moment in Fire Force during Tamaki's final fight, possibly. Shin's gonna fight Uzuki using his ESP to stop the multiple personalities. If that was possible, he would have done that. But you also need to realize that he can only issue those commands once, and then when he tries to do it again, it doesn't work. So it's a bit of a one-off. So if he tried to stop the personalities, it would only work one time. And it's not like he can trigger the personalities because while Shin is strong, telepathy-wise, he's not on the level where he can influence the personalities of Uzuki. At least not yet, anyway. But at the same time, I'm not putting much prospect into him being the one to face off against Uzuki at all. Because while Shin is strong, he is not Uzuki strong. We all know he's not. Especially if the Sakamoto personality reacts instantly to bloodlust. That's the problem. If any bloodlust is in the air, be it human or animal, Takamura takes over, and then the surrounding area is sliced to ribbons. So there's a little bit of an issue with that type of confrontation. It is that bad. So I think there's a couple more hurdles that needs to be jumped over before Shin could ever attempt to fight Uzuki. And we saw how his last fight went, and Joko was running. Mother is fighting Osaragi, I think. We don't know. We don't know because we don't even know who's going to stop the mom. It could be Osaragi. We don't know, but we'll have to see. However, we are going on break after this chapter, so that's going to leave us in an entire extra week to think about whether or not that whole matter will actually go down. But that'll have to be something we worry about after we get done with the JCC, because as it stands right now, we're probably going to be here for a minute. We're probably going to be here for a little while due to the fact that the Saionji twins are here. And we need to figure out a way to bring them down before we can move on to the next assassin. Matter of fact, the only assassins that are left to deal with are the Saionji twins and the mother with the baby. Those are the only ones left. Once we contend with those new prospects from Oki, and when they inevitably fail, the only thing left to deal with is just the members of the current new order of the new JAA, and then ultimately Uzuki, and whoever's left serving him. That's it. That's it. So I won't say that we're starting to wind things up, but we don't really have many more people left for this order until we get up to Oki's group of people. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. What matters now is finding out why the brother is so strong. The Saionji brother is so strong, and how they're going to bring both him and Sheena down. I want the mother assassin to fight Aoi and Hana solely because it'd be funny to see a battle of who's the better mother. Well, we already know who the better mother is. We already know who that is. But it would be an interesting change if instead of it being a fight, it would be like a conversation between mothers in general. Maybe Aoi can resonate with this woman on a maternal level. Maybe something can happen where she doesn't have to fight him at all, and it just turns out to be a joke. He said as a joke before, but I've gaslit myself into wanting that to be a possibility. I don't mind if it doesn't happen, though. It's either or. We'll have to see. But like I said, we need to get through the JCC section of things first, with Mafuyu, Amane, Toramaru, Kaji, and Natsuki. These are hypotheticals. I'm saying Kendaka versus Torres since they're both OP old heads. That's true. Kendaka is literally the Flash. We'll have to see. These are very interesting hypotheticals because these are the same type of hypotheticals that we put up for One Piece about the Straw Hat members fighting specific members of the Blackbeard crew. So these are just casual hypotheticals. So there's nothing wrong with that, Matt C. You're fine. You're perfectly fine. But it would be interesting. Tanabata and Hardboiled have previous beef. It'd be Hardcore versus Hardboiled, Gozu and Uzuki as well. Everyone has beef with a certain member of the old order and the new order. Everyone's got beef of some kind. But we'll have to keep this in mind. Don't know about Kanaguri? Kanaguri would just be recording everything for his next film. Oh, I can't wait to see what this new fight is going to be. Tanabata versus Torres. Gozu and Uzuki versus the rest of the members of the old order. This will be my magnum opus. The old JAA versus the new JAA. This will be my greatest masterpiece. I cannot wait for the world to see this. He will probably be the only one recording everything. Yeah, we know who's the better mother, but it'd still be funny to see something like Oki versus Nagumo, and it's super serious. Then we just cut to Aoi and the mother, and they're just casually talking. The brothers are prodigy. Seba's gonna use his big brain. Of course, we already know that. I mean, yeah, of course he's gonna use his big brain, but we just don't know how. How are you going to fight someone who's fast enough to kill the teachers of your school that you're being taught at? Think about that. How are you going to deal with someone who's stronger than the teachers who taught you? And we got to go on break thinking about this. We're going on break seeing the brother just aura farming and being all like, yeah, just chilling after killing multiple teachers before they could even react at all. Hmm. 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 Good chapter. Good chapter. Good conversation. This is the reason why I like to do these lives with you guys, because I like the conversations that we have. But yeah, they're basically saying this guy is unreal. Got the hiccups real bad. But yeah, this was a good chapter. Looking forward to the next one, even though we're going to be going on break. But I'm done for today, ladies and gentlemen. This was a good chapter of Sakamoto Days, and I am looking forward to the next one. Halster, Matsy, Mihai, and everyone who has tuned in today, even if you're just lurking. Also, I haven't brought this up and it's slightly off topic. By all means, say so before I end this session. By all means. But even if you're lurking in the background, thank you for stopping by. But I'm also curious and excited to see the role Akira plays in the future. How is that off topic? That's Sakamoto Days related. That's not off topic. That's not off topic at all. That's on topic. That's on topic. Because it will be interesting to see what part she plays because she's up there with Uzuki now. So that's a good question. The only reason why she's with Uzuki is because Uzuki's personality, perfectly replicated personality of Rion, is the only thing keeping Akira there. Even though everybody and their mama been telling her that Uzuki is not Rion, he's just perfectly replicated Rion's personality, she still wants to be up there. So it would be interesting to see what part she plays. Especially considering Kanaguri sees her as the prime subject to record matters on simply because she looks good on camera. So it should be interesting to see what part she plays in the future, because I know for me, I don't think she's going to be there much longer with Uzuki. And I don't mean, oh, she's going to die. I mean, oh, she's going to probably see that Uzuki is not her aunt. Even if the personality is perfectly replicated, she is not her aunt in any way, and she's made a bad choice. We'll have to see. But I think we are still a ways off before we even get back to Akira having anything to say concerning matters, because we're kind of dealing with all the little goons that are the henchmen, like the lower on the ladder people. Before we get up to Uzuki, we're still there. We're still dealing with the lower rung people before we can get to Uzuki and the old regime of the order and the old members who follow Uzuki from Alkamar. We still got to deal with all of them because Gozu is still a thing. He's still around. He's gonna have to be contended with as well. There's a lot of things that we're gonna have to work out before we get up to Akira's point of the story, where she actually plays a more important part. But we'll see as the series continues on. But I'm done, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for the wonderful conversation, because you know I love to talk to you guys about Sakamoto Days. I'm done for today. I'm gonna go ahead and chill, check on the family, and make sure they're good. Her separating from Uzuki once and for all is hopefully gonna be so satisfying. Yeah, her realizing that that's not my aunt, and I've made a bad decision, and joining up with Sakamoto Days, including her capabilities of being able, because she's a very capable individual. She's got that path of death skill that she has that allows her to see the point to where she can instantly kill a person, like all the paths that can lead to killing a person without much issue. Seeing that fully realized and her fully embracing it and mastering that would be very interesting and very useful against pretty much everyone that's against Sakamoto once she joins over to his side. But I'm speaking ahead of myself. We'll deal with that once we get done with this whole matter with all these prospect members of the JCC, of the order, of the new order. Hold on, give me a sec. Family's calling, and then I'll end it. All right, all right. Family's on the way. Got to help them out with. Got to get stuff started because we're cooking food in a little while. But this was a good chapter of Sakamoto Days, and I am looking forward to the next one. But we are going on break, which means we get to think about what is going to happen now that we've seen that the brother is far stronger than the sister, and he uses his bare hands. Should be interesting. But I'm done for today. Hope you all enjoyed. Can't wait to see you all in my next video. Like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Even check out my Patreon because I am always looking forward to entertaining you. And because I know you're coming back anyway. Have a fantastic day, and once again, as always, later, peoples!